Figuras, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos al episodio de Play Sports Podcast. Y ahora tenemos a un súper invitado, aprovechando el nuevo descuento que tenemos, que nos regalaron nuestros amigos de United Soccer Coaches en Filadelfia. A partir de enero 11 al 15 vamos a estar en Filadelfia como el único podcast en español. Y por eso nuestros amigos de United Soccer Coaches nos regalaron un descuento. Este descuento van a pagar ustedes $375 para estar en la convención. Al momento de inscribirse, al final le van a poner el código PLAY23 y tienen ese descuento. ¿Y por qué les menciono? Porque ahora tenemos a David Simeone, es el director de todos los programas de educación. Muchos de ustedes nos han preguntado, ¿cómo funciona la educación allá? ¿Qué es? ¿Por qué tanto te gusta, Monroy? ¿Por qué eres tan fanático a ellos? Pues nada mejor que David nos pueda explicar. Este podcast estará en inglés. Si tienen alguna duda en español, recuerden nuestras redes sociales, nos pueden preguntar y nos pueden hacer todas las dudas por ahí. So, David, after my Spanish introduction, thank you very much for being here. It's an honor having you here. And you have to know we have a lot of questions for you in this podcast.
Eugenio, thank you so much for having us and for having me on the podcast. I'm very excited about talking with you and visiting with you about education, about the convention in Philadelphia, about United Soccer Coaches. We appreciate it very much.
David, so I have to tell you, I'm a huge fan of your organization. I'm a huge fan. It's going to be the third convention I went over there. I'm going to be there in Philadelphia. In the first one I went in Baltimore, it was 2020, before COVID hit us. Yeah. I was planning to go to Los Angeles, so California is going to be the next year, and it got shut down and everything. Yeah. But for me, it was an eye-opener what I saw over there. I can talk a lot of coaches. I can talk football with a lot of different types of coaches and understand different methodologies that you as the organization does. I think I have, I don't know, I have like 8 or 9 diplomas from you. I don't know, level 4 or 5 from goalkeeper. This like our expertise here in play. But please tell me, how work all the certification, the diplomas and everything, because you have a lot of things. You have online presence and you have mixtures and you have a lot of things. But before that, please tell me about yourself, David. What do you do in United Soccer Coaches? What is your main work over there?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to do that. I've been a member of the association since 1983 or 84. I've served on the coach developer staff since about 1989. And I've been in this role as the Director of Education Programs since May of 2022, full-time. It was a newly created position. My role deals with 3 distinct areas. One is to drive and develop the content for the convention annually. This year we're in Philly, next year we're in Anaheim. The convention embodies about 260 sessions, either presentations or field demonstrations over the 5 days. So I work with a tremendous group of event planners and convention manager, Erica Dyer, as well as our scheduler, Rudy Zimmerman. I drive the content. So that's one area of my responsibility. We also now have an additional online platform called the Training Ground, which I am developing areas of content creation that will be very contemporary, very up to date. Some of it is goalkeeping, some of it is mental skills and the psychological components, some of it is technical and tactical components. all that will be offered through the training ground. And then the third part of my responsibility and role is to work with our Director of Coaching Education, Vince Gansberg, and we work on the development of content, curriculum, staffing, or coach developers, so that we can then offer across a wide dimension coaching education. One of the aspects that we've worked diligently on in the past 8 months is to regionalize the United States. It is such a vast continent of soccer that in order to design, deliver, identify, and prepare coach developers as educators, I've broken the country into 13 different regions so that we can then understand the scheduling, the delivery within those smaller regions of the United States. So that, at a 50,000 foot view, that's what I do here in the association.
Wow, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
Tell me about it. I'm glad you thank you very much.
So I hear that you've been in the association since 1983, 84.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of experience in football, soccer. Can you try to resume or make it short your expertise or your experience in soccer in the States, overseas, or where?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. I grew up in northeastern Ohio. My father was Italian, my mother's Slovenian. I grew up in a very ethnic environment. I ended up playing my club soccer as a young guy in a Ukrainian Orthodox community. Mm-hmm. So going from there, spent time in the United States Navy, played on some of the first all-Navy teams. And then from there, collegiately, at the University of Northern Colorado. And then I spent a little bit of time post college where, I was not, it was not even in my mind, really, Eugenio, that I was going to become a coach. But because of my associations with some of my colleagues through playing, and then by dabbling in coaching, people like Shellis Hyman, he actually was pivotal because he was at Eastern Illinois at that time, later became the SMU coach, and then the FC Dallas coach for a period of time, very successful. He actually pushed me a little bit, nudged me into coaching and into graduate school, where I coached in college. And but my real aspiration, my real appetite for things in coaching kind of evolved and blossomed because at the time I was in Texas, that was really the first generation of incredible talents that we got out of Texas. Carla Overbeck, Tracy Leone, the Agus brothers on the men's side. And so my aspiration really working forward from there was I wanted to be a technical director at the state association level. And so between South Texas and North Texas, I spent 10 years, and that gave me the opportunity to work with club coaches and then identify and train players that ended up in the national teams in that 10-year period before I went and I served as a full-time national coach for 6 years with the Federation, all the while not only doing Federation courses in the licensing component, but also teaching and instructing United Soccer coaches diploma courses during that time. So I left the Federation after the Olympics of 2004, and I have been running high performance clubs as a director of coaching. And when this opportunity presented itself with the United Soccer coaches, it was just almost perfect. It was the right thing to do I'm so pleased that our CEO, Jeff Van Dusen, has afforded me this opportunity to drive the education program. So that's a little bit about my background in football.
Wow, David. So you have a lot of experience, a lot of people, every places, and I can hear you that your real passion is to teach, maybe to teach the coaches be a better coach, right? I can sense something in your way to express yourselves, right?
Right. Well, I think to that point, learning for me as a coach has never been about being it's ongoing. I mean, I think we can look at the current coaches in the World Cup.
Yeah.
I think when you look at Deschamps, when you look at any of them, Martinez for Belgium, I think now the pro games are starting back up today. We will have Liverpool and Man City. I think if you ask Guardiola, and I think if you ask Klopp, I think they're going to tell you they're always learning. They're always finding new ways. For sure, the tenets of the game, the principles of play, they are consistent. We can go back 40 years and we might even be able to look ahead 10 years and say, well, it's still going to be attacking, defending, transition. But how coaches evolve and emerge is an ongoing process. And I feel like if you ever get to a point where you say, well, I know it all, that's probably time to go find something else to do. I'm very enamored with learning. I think you're correct. I want, and my ambition is to get coaches to see that this is an ongoing process, that it's knowledge-based. Information is so accessible now through a variety of means, but also that interpersonal interaction, which ties us to the realities of the training environment with players, with our staff, the game environment, with the opposition, analyzing the match and being able to make the adjustments. But so much of this is predicated on interpersonal interaction. So I think you have to have a growth mentality about it.
Yeah, I have like a saying. I don't remember which book I read it, but you are the best teacher when you are thirsty to learn more from that subject.
Absolutely.
If you want to learn about that subject, you can teach better because you're still learning, right? So
it's absolutely true. You have to examine the information. You have to understand how someone else learns. Is it by what you say or what you show or what you do, how you interact with others? You're absolutely correct. It makes you, by examining all of those things, more expert about the information.
Yeah, perfect. So, David, as I told you in the introduction, I'm like a huge fan of the convention and all how the association works with us as coaches and director of coaches or director of academy. But sometimes it's very difficult to me to explain it to different colleagues from the different states here in Mexico. Better than you to explain us. So I took the courses of goalkeeper, finishing, small spaces, psychology, director of coaches, director of academy, director of, I don't know, different. And there are like different places or different subjects, main subjects that divide into small subjects. Can you maybe explain us in a simpler way so they can understand how is the education program in the United Soccer Coaches?
Yes, of course. It's structured a couple of different ways. We have courses, let's say our foundations of coaching, which are 1, 2, and 3. They deal with the coach maybe doesn't have the biggest experience in football to bring as an ex-player. Maybe they are a parent coach. Maybe they are have some experience, but they're not very experienced in coaching. So this gets them started. There are 3 levels of that. And then we get into our national diploma, our advanced national, our premier. So the national diploma is all about individual tactics and individual to small groups, technical development, tactical development. The advanced national is more about phase of play and functions. So it's tying 2 lines together through the thirds of the field. Now we're getting into 7-on-7, 8-on-8, 9-on-9. The premier diploma is the 11-a-side diploma, which means we spend 5 days, one system each day. So one day it's 4-4-2, the next day it's 3-5-2, the next day it's 4-3-3, the next day might be 4-2-3-1. How to set up attacking, how it's set up defending, and then we pick a system to match it up against. Say, all right, if you're playing 4-4-2, 2 lines of 4, 2 strikers, this is how you play. Here are some ideas and concepts about how you play in order to play against 4-2-3-1, defending, attacking, some examples in thirds of the field. How do we set it up? How do we teach it? So that's our diploma courses.
Okay.
We also have goalkeeping courses, which you alluded to. You've been involved with goalkeeping 1, 2, and 3. And now we have an advanced national goalkeeping course with our head of goalkeeping, Lisa Cole, who's an accomplished professional coach. Yeah. And that course is similar in that it takes technical development, tactical integration with a back 3 or a back 4. This is kind of the crowning jewel of the goalkeeping side of things. We are currently in the last phases of some of our senior coach developers, Paul Marco, Shellis Hyman, Paul Payne, where they are developing a modern trends of the game. So whatever the modern trends are right now, from a knowledge perspective, it is about things like periodization. How do we plan in our environments, how to get the players optimally fit and prepared, both physically and psychologically. And then there are current trends on the field, pressing, counter-pressing. Whatever the current trends are going to be modified and into this course. And all of these courses are offered both blended, where we can do the education part of it online in Zoom calls like you and I are having, and then they are completed in person. We also offer them in 2 weekend formats. So we have a lot of different capability in delivering the content. And then we have a realm of which you mentioned, things like the Director of Coaching diploma. Vince Gansberg is directly involved now in organizing what we will call an Academy Director's diploma. And then we have a segment that are what we call special topics. So for instance, in January, I'll be directing a special topic course in Dallas in conjunction with FC Dallas. They have their preseason. So we're going to observe preseason training. We will then talk with the FC Dallas coach. We will talk about where they are in their game model, where his team is at. There will also be a visiting team, of which they're going to name in the next week or so. We will then watch their training the next day talk to their coach and director, their manager. Where are they in their game model? How is the team shaping up? And then on Friday, we will watch the game and do some analysis.
Nice.
So I like to say that I think because we deliver and design education like that, it's tied to reality. The game at whatever level you're talking about has to be tied to reality and not just ideas, concepts, knowledge that exists out there, but with no real practical application.
Wow. Wow. So Dave, let me you have the different levels from the basic ones on until premium, right?
See.
Okay. So our coaches that are hearing this, you have to begin in the lower level and start beginning to climb up, right?
Yes.
Okay. If I complete the first level, where can I train in that diploma or that certification?
Sure.
What give us as coaches like the right or the permit or okay, you are a certificate to do that. And okay, if I want to start right now,
Yes.
how much time do I have to invest to be on at the prime, the premium?
Well, I think the process of education, one of the things I've learned over 40 years, Eugenio, is that education, the formal education process of information, practical experience, I mean, there has to be time in between. So, for instance, I look at just education in America sometimes, how people go to college, and then right after that, they go and get a master's degree. And I'm like, well, what about the experience in between?
Yeah.
So time served, experiences. So I would say, and there might be some instances where we have a high school coach who's a former player. They have an education degree. I'm not sure, unless they wanted to, we would make them take the foundations courses, but it would say, what makes sense for you, coach, is to take this diploma course that is either the national or the advanced national diploma, because this has a greater connection to the kids and the level of the game you are working at. So one of the distinctions, I think, to make, the United States Soccer Federation is our national governing body.
Yeah.
And per the structure of governance with FIFA and CONCACAF as our confederation, the national governing bodies are the licensing agents.
Okay.
All right. We have education in our history going back to the 1950s. The association was founded in 1941 by mainly college, high schools, some pro coaches, some former players, not only in the college game, in the pro game, in the national team, but they were educators. So as the diplomas grew into the 70s, our programs became more formalized. We like to say that for the federation, for the licenses, this is like the driver's license.
Okay.
This is like the driver's license versus we, in offering diplomas, we are driver's education.
Okay. So to teach in like a college level or a high school level, you have to have the licensing from the federation. It's different from you, right?
It's different, and there are no real strict requirements by the high school association or intercollegiate soccer with the NCAA. They really don't. The institutions may say, "Hey, I'd like this coach to have an advanced national or a C license," but they don't have any hard and fast overarching rules. They want, and they hire people like in high school because you're a teacher first, and then you are a soccer coach. And then in college, it's a little bit different because not everything is Division 1. There's Division 2. There's Division 3. So it's all very educationally driven, but they set the parameters and the barometer. If I say, well, we'd like this person to have a B license or a premier diploma.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if I have to, I have the national diploma.
Yes.
Right now, I have it. I can go to a college,
Yes.
university, and tell I
Yes.
have this diploma.
Yeah.
Can I be hired?
Yes. Yeah. If they believe that you are a suitable coach for what they are looking for, yes,
Yeah, so
absolutely.
it's the profile and everything has to be a perfect match.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
these diplomas, where can the people that hear us can take it? They are online or they have to go to the States?
Both. There are some diplomas in education that are online. There are some that the lecture and the presentations are online, and then you show up in person to complete the course. And there are some opportunities where people will say, well, we want to take this course, but we want to take it in 2 weekends. So we set it up like that in 2 weekends.
Okay. So if a coach from here, from Monterrey,
Yes.
is hearing this podcast and, okay, I want to go to Philadelphia.
Yes.
What he, like diplomas or certification can get by going to Philadelphia that weekend?
Right. So right now in Philadelphia, we have numerous diplomas and certificates. We are doing a national diploma during the convention. We are doing a preview of the modern trends in the game with Paul Marco and his group. We are doing a high school diploma. We are doing a director of coaching diploma. We are doing a certification that is coaching the athlete holistically. So we are doing a club leadership diploma that concentrates on organization and organizational development and leadership within the club, whatever the organization is. So we've got 9 or 10 diplomas or certificates, and that gets us through about 90 or 100 of the 250 odd sessions. So we still have 150 sessions that are either field or presentations that deal with issues such as we have a couple of sessions that are panel and presentation about the development of the women's game at the professional level, USL, NWSL. We have a whole group of sports psychologists like Dan Abrams, Rachel Lindvall, Donna Fisher, Paul McVeigh, that they will be presenting and then culminating in a panel about psychological components of player development. We've got Joe Cummings, who is our former CEO and a former board member, former coach himself, who will be a moderator for a panel. We've got former internationals that will be here. Right now, we're looking at Brian Robson, who was a forward at Manchester United, and former All England player.
You have presentation from Ireland, right? The Federation of Ireland also.
Yes, we'll be doing the FAI, the Northern Ireland Federation. We've got pro clubs like Ajax, who will tell us about how they do it. And we have German clubs like Eintracht Frankfurt, who were in the Europa League final last year. We've got a lot of good organizations like that from Belgium, this is an expose. This is how we do it.
Perfect.
Certain elements of player development, certain elements of how they organize their club, what they value.
So David, if this coach is willing to go to Philadelphia, pay the fee for the convention,
Yep.
with that fee, he will have these diplomas, or he will have to pay a little bit more to have different diplomas?
No, it's the diplomas are set up so that when you register for the convention, if you go to the sessions that are within that diploma, you will be certified and you will receive the certification or the diploma. You don't have to pay anything else extra.
So you tell me a lot of diplomas right now.
Yeah.
Can you give me your top 3? I know it's going to be difficult to tell me, but can you give me the top 3?
Well, first of all, I love our national diploma because it is an incredible introduction into how to take player development individually and then in small groups and transfer it to the training pitch and the game performance. I think it's just a great course. It's informational, but it also has a lot of practical components in it. Our director of coaching course, which
that's great,
is very widely attended. In fact, outside of the convention, we probably do 3 or 4 of those a year around the country, where directors of coachings of clubs, they attend, they see on one hand the organizational models, the business models, how to interact in conflict resolution, because as you know, in the United States, it's very different than Mexico. Parents have a much different role in the United States, and sometimes it's sticky. And so how do you manage through that? How do you manage your staff? How do you invest in and develop your staff so that it's people management then, as well as a component of it, programming and the development of players. So it's a great course because it is an inch deep. It's kind of a mile wide. Part of what I would like to think our diplomas and our certifications do, I think there are coaches that walk away from their experiences with that and they want more information. They say, well, this is great, but there's a lot that you can learn outside of the course by working with more experienced people, by having a mentorship with someone, or maybe it's going to incite your interest so that you take a course that is more specified in that one area. So education, as I said before, it's an ongoing process. The more we learn, the better off not only we are, but everybody that interacts with us, players, parents, other coaches, administrators, the whole 9 yards.
So it's going to be the national diploma, director of coaching, and the last one?
I think the last one, I think the preview of our current trends in the game. I think because we are just off of a men's World Cup and we are working into a women's World Cup, I think the information in there is going to be spectacular.
Perfect. So David, as I told you, it's going to be my 3rd convention. I know what to expect. I'm eager we are going, my head coach and I'm eager to be there and to talk to a lot of people. But can you tell me in like a sentence that the coach, the parent, or the player there is willing to go there, what to expect for the first time, what they have to expect, or what to expect for this convention?
Well, the first time is very unique because, as you know, coming from Mexico, and people come from Europe for the first time, and they don't have anything like this anywhere else. It is very unique. It is this incredible confluence And one of the things that this confluence of coaches who are attending, they're all interested in the game. They're all passionate about some aspect of how do you play? How do you develop players? How does all this work for you, and what can I learn from it? So it's an eye-opening experience the first time. Let me just contrast that. My first convention in 1983 or 84,
Wow.
Eugenio, this convention will have upwards of 10,000 coaches over 5 days. The first convention that I attended was in Crystal City, Virginia. I want to say it might have been in St. Louis. I can't remember which came first, but there were 300 coaches there. And that was like, you have to remember, in that time, unlike today where you can see football every day on TV, you can see the managers, you can hear the interviews with the players and the coaches. The news is instantaneous. In 1983, we had no internet. We had a few publications. Soccer was not on TV every day. So being able to go there in and amongst 300 or 350 coaches and go, oh, there's the national coach. Oh, there's Leo Cuellar, who played for Mexico. Oh, it was not every day you could see this. So it was a very, very different environment. I think some of the experiences I had back in those conventions was like, I couldn't have got those anywhere else. Similarly, today with 10,000 coaches, the experiences, first-time coaches will find that they will walk down the hall in between sessions and look and say, oh, that's Ian McIntyre, the Syracuse University men's coach that just won the Division I men's championship. Or that's Anson Dorrance, who is just in the final against Marguerite's team from UCLA. And you can actually most times walk up to people and say, hi, how are you? So
yeah.
It's unbelievable. You'll walk into presentations. Some of the presentation rooms that we have speakers in hold 900 people.
Yeah.
So you'll walk in and the expanse of it, and then you're faced with listening to somebody who's got something to say that you may find interesting. And then those 900 people leave and they're talking about it. It's an unbelievable environment that's stimulating, that's informative. They'll be able to see things that when they see the listings, say, that looks interesting. I hadn't planned on that. The other thing that is very interesting is the development of business around our convention. There are over 250 exhibitors in the vendors hall. So if you want to go in there and you want to see apparel, you want to talk to people about traveling to different parts of the world with your team to go play, if you want to see soccer balls or you want to see technology, the area of technology with all of our technology partners, and it's just growing and developing at an incredible rate. If you want to buy technology or learn how technology works, there's that part of it. So it's an incredible experience. The first time, I feel like if people come for just 2 or 3 days, let's say the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which are the heaviest days, I think they go out of there and they have a lot to process, and it changes a little bit of their view panoramically about football, whether they're a youth coach or they're college coach or a pro coach.
For me, the first time was like an eye-opener, and I feel like, okay, this is my clan. I am a soccer coach, soccer director, academy. So this is my clan. This is my people. I can talk the same language, the same interesting, the same problems. It's like, for the first time, I feel like camaraderie. Okay, we are on the same team, everybody. It was amazing. So, David, another question that we have is, how did you select the speakers, the person that gives the lectures, that they give the diplomas? How do you select it?
I think that's an excellent question because outside of our diplomas and certificates, which we have specific people who manage those programs, we always have a variety of people, organizations, coaches, intermediaries that contact us and express an interest. And we have a little bit of a formal process, but my question when I get them on a call or I get them on a Zoom, I say, what would you like to tell us about? What is your area of interest that you think you have something to speak to coaches that would be interesting, that would contribute to their development? And it's a great place to start that conversation, because if they have clarity about, well, this is what I would like to talk about, this is what we would like to represent, this is our message about this, here's, well, my question then is like, well, okay, you have an idea about this, where's the evidence? You know, are you applying this? Oh, you're applying this. Oh, good. Can you give me some facts, figures about everybody wants to, I'll give you a good example, Eugenio. There are a lot of people who want to come and talk about methodology. I'll say, okay, all right, so talk to me about your methodology. What's the underpinning? What evidence is it that you have that this is the result of the methodology? Who else is using your method? So you have a lot of different people in that space, whether it's in player development, goalkeeping, college, high school. So we have a lot of people who are technology-based, methodology-based, who have an interest in presenting. And part of, for us, we understand that they want to introduce and to market their product or their idea, and we're okay with that. But there has to be something in that message rather than just selling.
Yeah.
So tell us about why this is good. Tell us about what the underpinning is. Tell us about what the evidence is. Give us something that we can take back and say, hey, I think I can use this piece of this with my high school program or my club program, and here's how I think it will help. So it's a vetting process. It's become more formalized over time.
So you have a lot of coaches, people that wants to be in the presenters, and you have to narrow it to the right ones.
Yes.
That's a lot of work, I think so.
It's an expansive, it's an unbelievable process.
Wow.
When I came in May, I looked at all of that. And I mean, I've organized coaching educations to say, okay, we have 3 courses going on in the same place at the same time for 150 people over 5 days. You go say, okay, well, that's a lot to coordinate.
Yeah. But
when you're looking at that, and some of it comes down to the convention managers or event managers. I'm telling you, Erica Dyer, our convention manager, is unbelievable. Her staff of Emily Miller, my young man that we hired within the last 6 months, Jordan McDowell, he's a part of that. Our COO, Angie Eliason. I mean, there's a big team of people. Our scheduler, the gentleman who does the scheduling for the convention, wow, is unbelievable. He's done it for over 15 years, and he's got a lot of expert knowledge about that component. He's a former athletic director. He is brilliant. His name is Rudy Zimmerman. We should thank God for him every day because he does a brilliant job. So narrowing it down is its own kind of process. It takes sometimes longer in some areas than others, but you get there. You get there. You got to trust the process a little bit.
Perfect, perfect. So my last question that I have, as I told you, 2020, 2021, no, 2020, 2022, and 2023 is going to be the next one.
Yeah.
We have been doing podcasts about our event going to the convention. And one question is like always repeating itself. Here in Mexico, it's very difficult to travel all the way to the States.
Yes.
It's expensive. The hotel is expensive. The convention is not cheap.
Yes.
It's very difficult for us as Mexicans. We have to do different things to do it. A lot of coaches tell us how that experience can travel to Mexico and make it easier, cheaper to have that. Not like the big kawuma, the big thing, but do it. And in 2020, I talked to Lisa, called the goalkeeper, and I told her, how can you bring the diploma from a goalkeeper all the way to level 5 here in Mexico?
Yes.
And she told me that in 2020, that you are gonna work in something to do that programs in different countries. Do you have that ready, or you don't have it? And if you have it, what you looking for?
Yeah. Well, I think we have worked on, and actually, you understand how big the United States is. So in 2023, we're going to be announcing the launch of a second event in the United States. It's going to be smaller than the convention. It will only incorporate 200 to 300 coaches, but it will move. So when we go to Anaheim in 24, in August of 23, we're going to have that second event someplace probably in the West. When we go to Chicago in 25, we're going to have that August event someplace probably out east. And then when we go back to Philly in 26, we will probably have that secondary event in August. So my point is, we're thinking about a secondary event. Maybe the thing from an event standpoint I talk with our people about is, how do we do a scaled down weekend like that in Mexico? So that's an event.
Yeah.
I think the diplomas, I think if we were to find, Eugenio, partners that, whether they are a club or an interested organization who said, we would like to host an education program, I think that gets us about 40% of the way there. Then we can start with the CEO and our events people, say, okay, let's talk about the logistics and the economics of it. And I don't think that's hard to do. US is, I mean, from Dallas, Monterey is probably a 2-hour flight.
Yeah.
From Kansas City, it's probably a 3-hour flight. So that's not an impossibility to organize. I think we need some partners there, and I think we can make that happen.
Nice. Very
Yes,
very good. So David, to finish our podcast, our episode, I always do invite people to have some questions to answer, like the fast ones, okay, like a game. Okay. So I'm gonna take out my questions, and be ready. You have to answer me the first thing that comes to your mind. Okay. First question: football or soccer?
Football.
What will you like to play with, Maradona or Messi?
Maradona.
Which World Cup is the best that you have seen?
Oh, it's a really hard question. I have to say, even though there have been some good ones, this past one is going to be hard to beat.
Perfect. Which boot or cleat do you use, Nike or Adidas?
Both.
Both. If you have to work with only one person in your team, which one is going to be? One.
Positionally, one person?
In your team right now, your team in your work right now.
Yes.
You have a lot of people working for you.
Yes.
So you have to choose one, and she or he is going to help you with everything. Just one.
Oh my God. Our COO, Angie Eliason.
Perfect. And two more. Back in the 90s, 80s, the MLS used to have at the end shootouts. You remember?
Yes.
Okay. What would you like better right now? Shootouts or penalties?
Penalties.
Penalties.
Yeah.
Okay. You are, the last question. You are in the World Cup final.
Oh, I hope so.
And you would like to win like 1-0 or 1 in the penalties?
1-0.
1-0.
1-0. No penalties. Forget the penalties.
Perfect. So, David, for me, it's an honor talking to you. Thank you for your time. It was like an eye-opener, waiting a lot to go to Philadelphia, and hope to see you over there and maybe meet you in person and have some coffee or talk about football, right?
Yes, for sure. We will do that.
Wait for me. I'm gonna say goodbye in Spanish. Don't go away. So, amigos, muchas gracias por estar con ustedes. Fue una plática muy interesante con David. Todas las preguntas que tengan del Congreso en Filadelfia lo pueden hacer. Recuerden el descuento que tenemos, es un descuento único. Vieron todos los diplomas, pueden tener $375. Usen Play 23 y yo los veo en el siguiente episodio. Y cualquier duda o comentario, estamos a sus órdenes.